Dear students, Namaskar. I hope that you all must be in sound health and must be excited for today's lesson. Children, today we are going to discuss Chapter 10 of Class 8 Science, Reaching the Age of Adolescence. Before starting with the chapter, let us recall what we already know. How do animals reproduce? Human beings and certain other animals are able to reproduce only after reaching a certain age. Why do human beings are able to reproduce only after reaching a certain age? Now we shall see what we are going to learn today. Adolescence and puberty, reaching the age of adolescence, changes at puberty, secondary sexual characters, role of hormones in initiating reproductive function, reproductive phase of life in humans, how is the sex of the baby is determined, hormones other than sex hormones, role of hormones in completing the life history of insects and frogs, reproductive health. Children, do you know what is adolescence? Growing up is a natural process, the period of life when the body undergoes changes leading to reproductive maturity is called adolescence. When does this age of adolescence begins? Adolescence begins around the age of 11 and lasts up to 18 or 19 years of age. Since this period covers the teens, adolescents are also called teenagers. In girls, adolescence may begin a year or two earlier than in boys. The human body undergoes several changes during adolescence. These changes mark the onset of puberty. Changes taking place at puberty. The period of life when human body undergoes several changes which lead to capability of reproduction is called onset of puberty. In girls, the puberty begins at the age of 10 to 11 years and the onset of puberty leads to some changes in the body, such as in girls, the region below the waist becomes broad. Development of breasts, increase in height, growth of hair in underarm and pubic area, beginning of menstruation. In boys, puberty may begin a year or two later than the girls, that is, at the age of 12 to 13 years. Boys also undergo certain changes with the onset of puberty. Increase in height, change in voice, growth in the facial hair, growth of hair on chest and pubic area, release of male hormone testosterone. During puberty, the secretion of sweat glands and sebaceous glands increase. Many young people get acne and pimple on the face at this time. Also, teenagers undergo mental, intellectual and emotional maturity. Secondary sexual characters. What are secondary sexual characters? The features which help to distinguish the male from the female are called secondary sexual characters. Boys begin to grow facial hair, that is, mustaches and beard. In girls, breasts begin to develop at puberty. Boys also develop hair on their chest. In both boys and girls, hair grows under the arms and in the region above the thighs or the pubic region. Hormones and secondary sexual characters. In boys, male hormone, that is testosterone secretion, leads to the development of secondary sexual characters. In girls, estrogen release leads to the changes which occur during puberty. The changes which occur at adolescence are controlled by hormones. Hormones are chemical substances. These are secretions from endocrine glands or endocrine system. The male hormone or testosterone begins to be released by the testes at the onset of puberty. This causes changes in boys about which you have just learnt. For example, the growth of facial hair. Once puberty is reached, in girls, ovaries begin to produce the female hormone or estrogen which makes the breasts develop. The production of these hormones is under the control of another hormone secreted from an endocrine gland called pituitary gland. Endocrine glands release hormones into the bloodstream to reach a particular body part called target site. The target site responds to the hormone. There are many endocrine glands or ductless glands in the body. The testes and ovaries secrete sex hormones. Role of hormones in initiating reproductive function. The sex hormones are under the control of hormones from the pituitary gland. The pituitary secretes many hormones, one of which makes ova mature in the ovaries and sperms form in the testes. And this can be shown with the help of following figure. Hormones from pituitary stimulate testes and ovaries to release testosterone in male and estrogen in female. Released in the bloodstream and reach parts of the body, that is target site. Then stimulate changes in the body at onset of puberty. Role of hormones in completing the life history of insects and frogs. You have already learnt about the life history of the silk moth and the frog. The tadpole passes through certain stages to become a frog. This change from larva to adult is called metamorphosis. Metamorphosis in insects is controlled by insect hormones. In a frog, it is controlled by thyroxine, the hormone produced by thyroid. Thyroxine production requires the presence of iodine in water. If the water in which the tadpoles are growing does not contain sufficient iodine, the tadpoles cannot become adults. Reproductive phase of life in humans. Children, now let us know about reproductive phase of life in humans. Adolescents become capable of reproduction when their testes and ovaries begin to produce gametes. Reproductive phase means that humans are able to reproduce only for a certain period of time during their lifetime. The reproductive phase in males lasts throughout life, whereas in females, reproductive phase lasts only for a shorter period of life. The reason for this is that with the onset of puberty, one ovum matures and is released from one of the ovaries. At puberty, ovum begins to mature, and after a period of life, the ovum ceases to develop and mature. This is called reproductive phase or menstruation. The first menstruation begins at puberty and is termed menarche and begins at 10 to 12 years of age. The stoppage of menstrual cycle is called menopause, and this occurs at 45 to 50 years of age. One ovum matures and is released by one of the ovaries once in about 28 to 30 days. During this period, the wall of the uterus becomes thick so as to receive the egg. In case it is fertilized and begins to develop, this results in pregnancy. If fertilization does not occur, the released egg and the thickened lining of the uterus along with its blood vessels are shed off. This causes bleeding in women, which is called menstruation. Menstruation occurs once in about 28 to 30 days, and this lasts for 4 to 5 days. How is the sex of the baby determined? Boy or girl? All human beings have 23 pairs of chromosomes in the nuclei of their cells. 2 chromosomes out of these are the sex chromosomes, named X and Y. A female has 2 X chromosomes while a male has 1 X and 1 Y chromosome. The unfertilized egg always has 1 X chromosome. When a sperm containing X chromosome fertilizes the egg, the zygote would have 2 X chromosomes and develop into a female child. If the sperm contributes a Y chromosome to the egg at fertilization, the zygote would develop into a male child. Hormones other than sex hormones. Apart from pituitary, the testis and the ovaries, there are other endocrine glands in the body such as thyroid, pancreas and adrenals. Goiter is a disease of thyroid gland. In this, thyroid gland is not able to release thyroxine. Pancreas releases a hormone insulin which regulates the amount of glucose in our body. If pancreas does not release sufficient amount of insulin, then the person may suffer from diabetes. Adrenal glands secrete hormones which maintain the correct salt balance in the blood. Adrenals also produce the hormone adrenaline. It helps the body to adjust to stress when one is very angry, embarrassed or worried. Thyroid and adrenals secrete their hormones when they receive orders from the pituitary through its hormones. Pituitary also secretes growth hormone which is necessary for the normal growth of a person. The diseases which occur due to imbalance in the release of hormones. We will understand this with the help of a table. Name of the gland, the name of the hormone released by the gland, disease which occur due to imbalance of hormone. So our first gland is thyroid gland and the hormone it releases is thyroxine. If there is imbalance in the release of this thyroxine, then the disease which occurs is goiter. Our next gland is pancreas and the hormone which is released by the pancreas is insulin. If insulin is not released in sufficient amounts, then the person may suffer from diabetes. Our next gland is adrenal gland and the hormone which is released by adrenal gland is adrenaline. And due to the imbalance of this hormone, stress in body occurs. Reproductive health. Under reproductive health, we discuss following topics: nutritional needs of the adolescents, personal hygiene, physical exercise, say no to drugs. Nutritional needs of the adolescents. A balanced diet means that the meals include proteins, carbohydrates, fats and vitamins in requisite proportions. Our Indian meal of roti rice, dal, and vegetables is a balanced meal. Personal hygiene. Everyone should have a bath at least once every day. All parts of the body should be washed and cleaned every day. If cleanliness is not maintained, there are chances of catching bacterial infection. Physical exercise. All young boys and girls should take walks, exercise, and play outdoor games. Walking and playing in fresh air keeps the body fit and healthy. Say no to drugs. Drugs are addictive. If you take them once, you feel like taking them again and again. They harm the body in the long run. They ruin health and happiness. Recapitulation. Humans become capable of reproduction after puberty sets in. The onset of puberty brings about growth of the reproductive organs. Children gain height during adolescence. The onset of puberty and maturity of reproductive parts are controlled by hormones. Hormones are secretions of endocrine glands which pour them directly into the bloodstream. Testosterone is the male hormone and estrogen the female hormone. Sex of the unborn child depends on whether the zygote has XX or XY chromosomes. During adolescence, one must take preventive measures from diseases like AIDS, which are caused by HIV virus. Children, now I am going to ask you a few questions and I hope that you all might be knowing the answers. My first question is, name the hormone released by adrenal gland. And the answer is adrenaline. My next question is, if a baby has XY chromosomes, then it's a baby boy. My next question is, fusion of ovum and sperm is called, and the right answer is fertilization. My next question is, match the columns. And column 1, the options are thyroid, adrenal, pancreas and pituitary. In column 2, the hormones released are growth hormone, thyroxine, adrenaline and insulin. So let us start matching the gland with the hormone which is released by it. So thyroid releases thyroxine, adrenal releases adrenaline, pancreas releases insulin and pituitary releases growth hormone. Children, with this we complete our chapter and I hope that you all must have listened to the chapter carefully and understood it well. Students, keep learning, keep growing, stay home and stay safe. Thank you.